Stop chasing money. That's the mistake most people make. They wake up every morning thinking about how to get more of it, how to earn more, how to save more, how to hold on to what little they have. But money isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become and the value you create. See, the marketplace doesn't pay you for your need, it pays you for your value. You can say, I need more money. But the marketplace doesn't care about need, it only cares about contribution. When you start solving problems, when you start creating solutions that matter, that's when money begins to chase you. I remember when I first started out, I worked hard, harder than most people I knew, but I wasn't getting paid much. I thought if I just worked longer hours, things would turn around. But my mentor told me it's not the hours that matter, it's the value you bring to those hours. That hit me hard. He said, you don't get paid by the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. And from that day on, I stopped trying to work more and started trying to become more. That shift changed everything. If you want to double your income, don't ask for a raise, double your value. Learn a new skill, master your craft, build relationships, create something people need. You can't get rich wanting money, you get rich becoming someone of value. Think about the people who build real wealth. They solve problems. They see what others overlook. They make life better, easier, more efficient, more enjoyable for someone else. That's the secret. Money is just the reward the world gives you for the value you've added. Don't chase the dollar, chase your development. Don't wake up asking, how can I make money today? Instead, ask, how can I make myself more valuable today? Because when you increase your value, when you grow your skills, expand your thinking, and improve your contribution, money shows up almost automatically. It's not magic. It's a natural consequence. You become too valuable to be ignored. So, stop running after money. Start running after growth, mastery, and contribution. When you do that, money will find its way to you, and it won't want to leave. Wealth doesn't start with money. It starts with habits. You don't need a fortune to begin. You need a philosophy. Because money doesn't change who you are. It simply magnifies it. If you're careless with $10, you'll be reckless with 10,000. If you can't manage a little, the universe won't trust you with a lot. That's just how it works. Wealth flows toward discipline, not desire. I learned that truth early in my journey. Back then, I earned barely enough to cover my rent and groceries. But my mentor said, start a habit of saving, even if it's only a few coins. You're not saving money, you're building the person who can handle money. At first, it sounded too small to matter. What difference could a few dollars make? But it wasn't about the amount, it was about the principle. See, discipline is the foundation on which wealth is built. If you don't master your habits when you have little, money will master you when you have more. So, start small. Track every expense. Know where every dollar goes. When you see it on paper, you begin to understand your behavior, and that awareness alone can change everything. Then make it a rule to save at least 10% of every dollar you earn, no matter how small the paycheck. Some people say, I'll save when I make more. But it doesn't work that way. If you can't save a dime out of a dollar, you won't save 100 out of 1,000. The habit must come before the harvest. And remember, every financial decision you make today shapes the person you're becoming tomorrow. Spend without thought, and you build carelessness. Save with intention, and you build strength. The key isn't perfection, it's consistency. You don't need to do everything right. You just need to start doing something right and do it every day. Habits compound just like money does. A few disciplined decisions, practiced daily, can create financial freedom over time. So before you chase bigger paychecks or dream of wealth, work on your daily disciplines. Manage the small well, and you'll soon be trusted with more. Build habits before you build wealth, because without discipline, even abundance will slip through your fingers. But with it, even small beginnings can grow into extraordinary prosperity. The secret to lasting wealth isn't in how much you earn, but in how much you keep, and more importantly, how you prioritize it. Most people have it backward. They earn, they spend, and then they save whatever crumbs are left. But here's the truth. The poor save what's left, while the wealthy save first and spend what's left. That one small change in order makes a lifetime of difference. I remember a time when I was working hard, earning just enough to get by. Every month I'd tell myself, next month I'll start saving. But somehow, by the end of each month, there was nothing left to save. The problem wasn't my income, it was my philosophy. My mentor once told me, if you don't pay yourself first, you'll always be last in line for your own money. That stung, but he was right. Wealth isn't about having extra. It's about creating structure. So I began saving a small portion, 10% of everything I earned. It wasn't much, but it was something. And I treated that 10% like rent I owed to my future self. Eventually, it became automatic. Before I ever saw the money, a part of it went into savings, into investments, into my future. That one decision changed everything. When saving becomes automatic, discipline becomes effortless. You don't rely on willpower, you rely on a system. Most people wait until they feel ready to save, but you'll never feel ready. Life will always have another bill, another emergency, another excuse. So don't wait. Decide. Even if it's only a few dollars, start. The amount doesn't matter, the habit does. Once you make saving non-negotiable, you start to think differently about spending. You begin to ask, do I really need this? That question alone can keep thousands in your pocket. Over time, that steady habit of saving first builds confidence, and confidence turns into opportunity. You'll have money when others don't. You'll be ready when others are desperate. Because wealth doesn't come to those who wish, it comes to those who prepare. So don't wait for what's left. Pay yourself first. Let the first slice of your paycheck belong to your future, not your past. The order matters more than the amount. Save first, spend later. And you'll find that freedom isn't earned by luck, it's earned by habit. Most people want to invest in something that will make them rich. Stocks, crypto, property, anything that sounds like a shortcut. But let me tell you something fundamental. Your first and most powerful investment is not in the market, it's in you. Your skills, your mindset, your ability to create value. Those are the real assets that compound faster than money ever will. Before your money can grow, you must grow. I remember when I was first getting started, I didn't have much to invest. I couldn't buy land or stocks, but I could buy a book. I could invest in learning how money works, how people think, how businesses grow. I discovered that while $1 invested in the market might double in a few years, $1 invested in yourself could multiply tenfold, sometimes overnight, through new ideas, better decisions, and higher earning power. That's leverage. And it starts in your mind, not your bank account. Too many people want the returns without building the capacity to manage them. They say, if only I had $1 million. But the truth is, if you can't handle 100 wisely, you'd lose 1 million just as fast. The market rewards knowledge and punishes ignorance. So if you want to play the game, learn the rules first. Read, study, listen, ask questions. Seek out those who are where you want to be and learn how they think. That's not an expense. That's an investment. Early in my journey, I set aside a small portion of every dollar I earned, not for luxuries, not even for savings, but for learning. Books, seminars, mentors. I treated education like rent I owed to my future wealth. And every time I learned something new, my earning ability grew. A better skill means better opportunities, and better opportunities mean better income. That's how wealth begins. Not from luck, but from learning. So before you chase the next big stock or the next big trend, pause and ask yourself, am I the kind of person who can turn knowledge into profit? Because if you're not growing, your money can't either. Invest first in your skills, your mindset, and your discipline. Money follows mastery. Once you become more valuable, everything you touch, every idea, every dollar begins to grow. Most people get this part of money all wrong. They confuse looking rich with being rich. They buy things that shine but don't grow. Things that impress others but depress their bank account. But the wealthy think differently. They buy assets, things that make money, not things that just look good. There's a huge difference between buying for status and buying for growth, and that difference determines whether you end up free or stuck. When I was younger, I used to think success was about appearances, the car, the clothes, the image. But I soon realized those were traps dressed up as trophies. I met people who had all the signs of wealth, the big house, the fancy watch, yet they were broke behind the scenes. Why? Because everything they owned was taking money out of their pocket, not putting it in. It's like carrying a bucket with holes in it. No matter how much you pour in, it leaks out. Then I started observing how truly wealthy people lived. They looked at every dollar like a worker. They asked, will this dollar go out and bring a few more friends back with it? That's the question of ownership, of stewardship. When you buy assets, stocks, real estate, businesses, skills, your money begins to work for you. When you buy status, cars, gadgets, luxury clothes, your money starts working against you. The first path builds freedom, the second builds dependence. One of the best lessons I ever learned was to delay the desire for display. I told myself, I'll earn the right to buy nice things, but first, I'll build the base that can afford them forever. I didn't buy the car I wanted when I could barely afford the payments. I waited until my investments could buy it for me and still keep growing afterward. That's not deprivation, that's discipline. So, before you spend on something shiny, pause and ask a simple question. Will this grow in value or will it shrink? If it grows, it's an asset. If it shrinks, it's a liability. Build assets first, and one day, those assets will buy all the status you could ever want without costing your freedom. Because the real luxury isn't owning things, it's owning your time. The difference between those who build wealth and those who only dream of it comes down to one simple principle: the ability to delay gratification. Most people can't wait. The moment they get a little extra, they want to feel it, show it, spend it. But wealth doesn't grow in moments of indulgence. It grows in moments of restraint. Every dollar you hold back today plants a seed that can grow into freedom tomorrow. The poor chase comfort. The wealthy chase independence. When I was young, I remember wanting the finer things like everyone else. The new suit, the nicer car, the fancy dinner. But a wise man told me, if you buy luxury before you've earned the freedom to afford it, you'll always work for it. That hit me hard. So I made a rule. I'd only buy luxuries when my investments could pay for them, not my paycheck. If my money was working hard enough to buy me something without shrinking my capital, that was the signal I'd earned it. Until then, my focus stayed on growth, not gratification. You see, the mind that wants quick rewards will always remain broke because it trades long-term potential for short-term pleasure. It's like eating your seed corn instead of planting it. The wealthy think differently. They understand that patience compounds. They wait, they reinvest, and they let time become their silent partner. When your capital starts working harder than you do, that's when the real rewards begin. Not just financial rewards, but the peace of knowing you're free from financial anxiety. I used to live by a simple test. When I wanted something, I'd ask, if I buy this now, will it serve my future or steal from it? If it served my future, I considered it an investment. If it stole from it, I walked away, even when it hurt a little. And that's the point. Discipline always hurts a little in the moment, but it feels like power later. So learn to delay gratification. Learn to say, not yet, to the little comforts that cost you your future freedom. Because the moment you master waiting, you stop working for money and start letting money work for you. And that's when comfort becomes permanent, not temporary. Relying on a single paycheck is like standing on one leg. You can balance for a while, but one shake in the wind and you'll fall. That's the trap most people live in. They think security comes from a job, but true security comes from multiple sources of income. One stream is survival, several streams are freedom. You can't control the economy, the company, or the market, but you can control your ability to create and multiply income sources. The goal isn't just to make more money, it's to make money in different ways, so no single event can take it all away. When I was younger, I learned this lesson the hard way. My first real job paid me enough to live, but barely enough to breathe. I thought if I just worked harder, I'd be fine. But when the company hit trouble, I realized that all my effort, all my loyalty, still left me vulnerable. I decided then that I'd never depend on one stream again. I started small, selling a few products on the side, helping people with personal development workshops, and later investing in businesses that paid me whether I was present or not. Each stream started tiny, almost laughable, but over time, they grew into rivers that met in one ocean, financial independence. The secret is to start where you are. Don't wait for a perfect business idea or a large investment. A small side hustle, a few shares of stock, or a simple online product can become the foundation of something big. The key is consistency. Every new stream begins as a trickle, but if you feed it, it flows stronger. And remember, multiple streams aren't just about money, they're about peace of mind. When one slows down, the others keep you afloat. The wealthy don't work harder, they build systems that work harder for them. One investment pays dividends, another produces rent, another sells while they sleep. And soon, their lifestyle is funded not by time traded, but by value created. So, start building. Even if it's just one small additional stream this year. In 5 years, you'll have 5. Don't chase comfort, chase creation. Because when your money comes from many directions, no storm can wash it all away. Multiple streams aren't luxury, they're security. And security is the foundation of freedom. Most people live for the weekend. Friday night is their finish line. But the wealthy, they live for the long game. They don't think in days or even months, they think in decades. Because real wealth, the kind that lasts, doesn't come from quick wins or lucky breaks. It comes from vision, patience, and a commitment to the future. The poor plan for the next paycheck. The rich plan for the next generation. The difference isn't luck, it's time horizon. I remember sitting down years ago and asking myself, what do I want my life to look like 10 years from now? Not just my income, but my lifestyle, my relationships, My freedom, that question changed everything. Because when you stretch your thinking into the future, your actions today start to carry more weight. You begin to trade instant pleasure for long-term progress. You stop chasing little wins and start planting big seeds. The challenge is that most people underestimate what they can do in 10 years and overestimate what they can do in 1. They want results fast, money, recognition, success, but wealth grows like a tree. You can't dig it up every few weeks to see if it's growing. You plant, water, wait, and let time do its work. The rich understand that every small, consistent effort, every saved dollar, every learned skill, every investment compounds over time. Here's what I tell people. Write down where you want to be financially in 2035. Be specific. Then reverse engineer it. If you want $1 million by then, how much do you need to save or invest every month? If you want financial independence, what kind of assets will pay for your lifestyle? Once you know the target, you can start building the roadmap backward, and suddenly, every small step today feels meaningful. I used to tell my team, don't build a year of effort, build a decade of impact. It's amazing how your habits change when you think that way. You buy less junk, you study more, you invest earlier, you build deeper relationships, you stop wasting time, because you see it for what it is, your most valuable asset. So, stop planning for Friday night. Start planning for your future freedom. Think in decades, not days. Because if you start today with a clear 10-year vision, you'll wake up one morning in a life that others only dream about, and it will feel like it happened all at once. Most people celebrate their paycheck, but the wealthy celebrate their net worth. Because what you earn is just a number, what you keep and grow is what builds freedom. A big paycheck can make you feel rich, but if every dollar flows right back out in expenses, you're standing still. Real wealth is measured by ownership, the assets you've built, the debts you've eliminated, and the gap between the two. The paycheck is just the seed. Your net worth is the tree that shows how well you've planted and nurtured it. I learned early that money can be deceiving. I once met a man who earned more in a month than most people do in a year, yet he was broke. How? He spent it all. He had the cars, the house, the suits, but nothing that actually belonged to him. And then I met another man who earned modestly but owned everything outright, no debt, steady investments, a growing savings account. One man looked rich, the other was rich. That's when I understood that net worth isn't about income, it's about stewardship. You have to measure your financial progress the way a business measures its growth. Every business tracks profit and loss, assets and liabilities. You should do the same. At the end of each month, list everything you own, cash, investments, property, business interests, and everything you owe, credit cards, loans, mortgages. Subtract one from the other. That's your net worth. Don't judge yourself by the number, but by the direction it's moving. If it's growing, your habits are working. If it's shrinking, it's time to make changes. The beauty of tracking your net worth is that it forces awareness. You start noticing where your money goes, how your decisions add or subtract from your wealth, and where you're leaking opportunity. It transforms vague intentions into measurable growth. You'll start asking better questions. Does this purchase add to my net worth or reduce it? Is this debt helping me build assets or keeping me trapped? That's the mindset shift that separates those who drift financially from those who design their future. And here's the secret. Tracking your net worth monthly isn't just about numbers. It's about accountability. It shows you the truth in black and white. No excuses, no confusion. Just progress or decline. And once you start measuring it, you'll be amazed at how naturally your behavior starts to align with your goals. So stop chasing the thrill of a bigger paycheck. Focus instead on building your net worth. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what comes in, it's about what stays, grows, and eventually works for you. I like to think of money as an army. Each dollar's a little soldier, ready to go to battle for your financial freedom. The question is, where are you sending them? Are they out fighting for your future, multiplying, building, creating income while you sleep? Or are they dying on the battlefield of impulse and convenience, fast food, gadgets, upgrades you didn't need? See, wealth isn't about how much money passes through your hands. It's about how many soldiers you train to work for you and come back with reinforcements. Most people treat their dollars carelessly. They spend as fast as they earn, sending their money out without purpose. That's why their finances look like chaos. No plan, no command, no direction. The wealthy, on the other hand, are disciplined generals. Every dollar has an assignment. Some dollars go to build savings. Those are your defense troops. Others go to investments, your offense, always out there growing and expanding your territory. Some go toward learning. That's your training division, building better strategies for the next battle. And yes, a few can go to enjoyment. Those are your morale boosters. But every soldier knows its role, and none go out without orders. I remember when I first began to change my relationship with money, I started giving each dollar a mission. 10% went to savings, another to investments, a small amount to giving, and the rest to living. Suddenly, my money started behaving differently because I was behaving differently. The moment you give your dollars a purpose, they stop wandering off. They begin working, building, and compounding. Think of it this way. If you waste a dollar, you're not just losing that dollar, you're losing the army it could have built. A single dollar invested wisely could grow into hundreds or thousands over time. That's how the rich think. They don't see money as paper, they see it as potential, energy, that when directed well, creates more energy. So, here's the practical step. Every time money enters your hands, decide its mission immediately. Don't let it sit idle. Don't let it disappear without orders. Assign it. This one saves, that one invests, this one builds the business. Every dollar is a seed, a soldier, a servant, waiting for direction. Treat every dollar with respect, discipline, and purpose. Because when your money starts working harder than you do, that's when you'll know you're truly in command of your financial destiny. I like to imagine that every dollar in your pocket is a tiny soldier, loyal, obedient, and ready for assignment. Each one is waiting for your command, asking, "What's my mission today?" And just like any great leader, you must decide whether your soldiers go out to fight for your future or perish in meaningless battles. Most people, unfortunately, send their troops to die on the battlefield of impulse. A fancy coffee here, a gadget there, a night out that's forgotten by morning. All those fallen soldiers could have been part of your wealth army, building a fortress of freedom. See, the wealthy understand something that the average person overlooks. Money without direction disappears. It leaks out through small, careless habits. But when you begin to give your dollars a purpose, everything changes. You no longer say, "Where did all my money go?" Instead, you can proudly say, "Look what my money has built." Each dollar has a job. Some to save, some to invest, some to build your business, and yes, some to enjoy the fruits of your labor. But none of them go out without orders. When I first started learning this principle, I wasn't wealthy yet, far from it. But I realized that how I managed $10 would determine how I'd handle 10,000. I started dividing my income intentionally. A portion went to savings, another to investments, another to learning, books, seminars, anything that could sharpen my mind. I even had a small amount assigned to giving, because generosity keeps the heart humble and the flow of money healthy. Before long, I noticed a powerful shift. My money started working for me instead of me always working for money. You see, every dollar you waste today is a dollar that could have multiplied tomorrow. A single dollar invested wisely can grow into hundreds over time, not because of luck, but because of discipline and compounding. It's not the amount that matters, it's the mindset. Treat a dollar with respect, and soon the universe will trust you with more. So here's what I want you to remember. From this day forward, give every dollar a mission. Let each one fight for your freedom, some guarding your savings, others capturing opportunities, and a few exploring new ventures. Because when your dollars are busy working for you, you'll find yourself no longer trapped by time or circumstance. That's when true wealth begins. When your army grows stronger than your labor. There's a moment in every person's financial life when they realize that working harder won't set them free. You can work 16 hours a day, climb every corporate ladder, and still find yourself chained to the same paycheck cycle. Why? Because effort alone has limits, but ownership doesn't. Wages feed you for a season. Ownership feeds you for a lifetime. That's the real game of wealth. The wealthy don't just sell their time. They own a piece of something that works even when they don't. When I first started out, I thought the key to success was simply working more. Longer hours, greater intensity, constant motion. But one day I realized if I stopped working, everything stopped. My income had no engine without me in the driver's seat. That's not freedom, that's survival with a fancy title. Real freedom begins when your money, your systems, and your ideas keep earning while you sleep. That's what ownership does. It multiplies your effort beyond your presence. Now, ownership doesn't always mean starting a huge company. It can begin small, a share of stock, a piece of real estate, or a little online business that grows over time. Each one represents equity, a stake in something that produces income without demanding your constant attention. And once you get a taste of that, you'll never want to go back to trading hours for dollars again. Here's the key. The rich think about leverage, not labor. They ask, how can I own a piece of what I help build? That's how employees become investors, how consumers become producers. If you buy a product, it's an expense. But if you buy the company that makes the product, it's an asset. Every time you earn, ask yourself, how can I turn part of this income into ownership? Because the man who owns nothing will always work for the man who owns something. I remember advising a young man once, bright, ambitious, full of potential, but he was stuck in the same loop of earning and spending. I told him, start small, but start owning. Even if it's one stock, one customer, one product, own something that keeps paying you back. Years later, he came back and said that single shift changed his entire financial destiny. So, if you truly want freedom, stop measuring your progress by how much you earn, measure it by how much you own. Because wages can make you a living, but ownership can make you a life.